Nem kicsit, hanem nagyon.
We won not small, but big, very, very big. Together, we changed the Orban regime. Together, we liberated Hungary. We took our homeland back.
For more, I'm joined by Bloomberg's Chief Europe correspondent, Oliver Crook, on the ground for us, as he has been throughout this election. Ollie, a lot of superlatives here. It's the end of an era for Orban. Just give us a sense of the significance, the scale of Peter Magyar's victory.
Lizzie, I think everyone was really stunned, even the people that were the most optimistic about the potential ousting of Viktor Orban within the Magyar camp where I was last night on the banks of the Danube, a little bit further out, when we saw just how much of a landslide, a blowout this was from the opposition leader who staged an absolutely incredible election campaign over the last 2 years. And Lizzie, it's hard to overstate how difficult what he did is. I mean, in Hungary, Viktor Orban controls much of the media, has huge sort of structural advantages, and he still managed to win this 2/3 majority within parliament, which gives him really a free hand to legislate very freely across Hungary. But not only that, Lizzie, that 2/3 majority gives him powers to even change the constitution. So this is a position for this opposition leader coming into power here, really emboldened with a really strong mandate from the Hungarian people. And again, he's going to be inheriting some of the issues that brought down Viktor Orban, whether it's sort of the economic stagnation that we've been talking about. There's, of course, the energy shock, which has no end in sight after what we saw over the weekend in Iran. And so this is going to be a very sort of challenging, a bit of an uphill battle. That being said, Lizzie, he has called on a number of the government officials that are loyal to Orban to resign, saying that they've basically betrayed the nation. They've been loyal just to Viktor Orban. So this is really a very key moment. And I got to say, on a personal note, Lizzie, you know, you watch a lot of elections, you cover a lot of these things. This crowd last night, very, very emotional, really feeling the sort of change that we've seen after 16 years of Viktor Orban.
So what does this victory mean for the Hungarian economy? What does it mean for the EU? And crucially, Ollie, what does it mean for the war in Ukraine?
Yeah, I think, Lizzie, what's really interesting is that some of the domestic issues and trying to turn the economy around, having to legislate, trying to break the grip of Viktor Orban, as Peter Magyar claimed that he would do last night, that is going to take a lot of time. What can happen very, very quickly is a change in posture in terms of the geopolitics, in terms of the foreign policy, and that is the expectation that we're getting from Peter Magyar at the highest level. We're expecting a prime minister of Hungary that, yes, is nationalistic, that, yes, still skews to the right, but is going to be much more constructive when it comes to working with the European Union. And as a consequence, as you know, Lizzie, as we've covered very, very extensively, the only person that's been standing between 90 billion euros and Ukraine, that loan from the EU, has been Viktor Orban. The expectation now is that you're going to have a regime here in Hungary that is going to be much more constructive in dealing not just with Ukraine, but a number of different issues at the European level. That gives the Europeans a much more consolidated sort of footprint going forward in their sort of political ambitions on the global stage, to say nothing of the fact, Lizzie, that J.D. Vance came here to Hungary to campaign alongside Viktor Orban. That failed. He then went to Pakistan for those negotiations. That failed. Some real questions about the potency of Trump foreign policy.
I can hear the cheers from Brussels. Bloomberg's Oliver Crook in Budapest. Thank you so much for your coverage.